I was in the garage when I overheard my wife talking on the phone. Ahahaha, this baby isn't even his. One DNA test and he's done. My blood boiled, but I held it together. I continued to drive the kids to school like nothing had happened. 5 days later, she regretted everything. You know how some days just blur into others? Like, nothing big happens, just the same routine: wake up, make coffee, get the kid ready for school, kiss your wife goodbye. That was my life. I'm Ryan, 35, and up until very recently, I thought I had a pretty solid thing going. My wife, Emily, is 33. We've been together nearly a decade, married for 8 years. And we have a son, Noah. He's 6 and he's my entire world. At least, I thought he was. It happened on a Tuesday. Just a normal, stupid Tuesday. I was on my lunch break, sitting in my car outside the office, scrolling Reddit, killing time. I figured I'd call Emily real quick, see if she could grab something for dinner on her way home. She was supposed to be out with her friend Claire. They had this weekly lunch thing at a ridiculously overpriced sandwich spot she loved. Nothing unusual. So I hit her name in my contacts and waited for the ring. Except it didn't ring. Instead, I suddenly heard voices. For a second, I was confused. But then I realized my phone must have connected to her car's Bluetooth. It's happened before when she parks near my office building. I guess she hadn't turned off her car yet or was just sitting there with Claire. What I heard next. I'll never forget it. Claire's voice, casual as ever. You know Noah's not even his, right? A DNA test would destroy him. I froze. Like, hand midair halfway to my mouth, not even breathing. At first, I genuinely thought they were talking about someone else. I had to be wrong. But then I heard Emily laugh, that specific laugh she does when she thinks something is both shocking and hilarious. I know, right? She said. Sometimes when Brandon's playing with Noah or helping him with his math, I have to leave the room. It's just too much. Brandon. Her boss. That's when my whole world tipped sideways. Claire asked how she kept it all hidden, and Emily, she didn't even sound ashamed. She started bragging about how she and Brandon had this wild connection 6.5 years ago during a work conference in Chicago. How she was planning to leave me back then, but then she found out she was pregnant. How Brandon didn't want to be a dad, wasn't ready, so she just let me believe the baby was mine. My hands were shaking so badly I dropped my phone. It hit the floor of my car screen first. Cracked. Not that it mattered, the screen was the least broken thing at that moment. And then this part still plays on a loop in my head, she said. Ryan would never question it. He's so clueless. Plus, he's obsessed with Noah. Thinks he looks just like him. They both laughed. I ended the call. Couldn't take another second. I sat there in the driver's seat, gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. I think I was ready to drive straight to that stupid sandwich shop and confront her right then and there. My heart was pounding out of my chest. But something I don't know, instinct maybe, stopped me. I remembered this ridiculous stress management seminar we had at work a few months ago. Deep breathing. Grounding exercises. I tried it. 3 deep breaths. It wasn't much, but it kept me from doing something stupid. I called in sick for the rest of the day. Told my boss I had food poisoning. Then I just drove. 4 hours. I barely remember where I went. I couldn't think straight. My phone kept buzzing, messages, work emails, some group chat, but I didn't look at any of it. Eventually, I pulled over and called my old friend Jackson. We've known each other since high school and now he's a lawyer. I didn't tell him everything, just that I needed a family attorney fast. He heard something in my voice because he told me to come in that same afternoon. He laid out my options. Divorce is no fault in our state, but infidelity can sometimes sway asset division. He told me to start gathering evidence, protect myself financially. Logical stuff that felt impossible while my brain was on fire. But I did it. That night, I went home. And I acted like nothing happened. Made dinner. Helped Noah with his spelling. Watched a stupid Netflix show with Emily curled up next to me on the couch. I didn't sleep. Barely breathed. But somehow I got through the night without losing it. The next few days were the same. Smile. Cook breakfast. Kiss her goodbye. Drive Noah to school. Those drives, they broke me. I kept staring at him in the rearview mirror, wondering how I hadn't seen it. He doesn't have my eyes. My chin. Not even my laugh. But I never questioned it. Because I loved him so damn much. Still do. Meanwhile, I was making moves. Quiet ones. Opened a new bank account. Downloaded all our financial records and saved copies to a password-protected drive. Moved small amounts of money at a time. Took photos of things that were mine before the marriage. Collected everything. Emily didn't suspect a thing. Why would she? According to her, I'm clueless, right? I even took Noah's toothbrush. Ordered a DNA test online with expedited shipping. Swabbed and mailed it out. That wait is brutal. Especially when you already know but you still need to know. If that makes sense. The worst part? Still being a dad through all of it. Still reading him bedtime stories. Still playing Minecraft with him when he asks. Still packing his lunch for school. None of that changed. My love for him didn't vanish. That's what makes this whole thing feel like drowning. 5 days in, I still haven't said a word to Emily. I'm still pretending. Still playing house. But something's coming. She just doesn't know it yet. And when it hits, she'll finally understand that I'm not as clueless as she thought. The 3 days between that phone call and Saturday felt like the longest days of my life. Every morning, I woke up next to Emily, her head on the pillow beside me, peacefully asleep, totally unaware that I knew, that I heard. She'd smile, kiss me on the cheek, ask if I wanted coffee. I played along, smiled back, said sure. Then I'd go into the bathroom, close the door, and just sit there, gripping the edge of the tub until my hands ached. Every second felt fake. But I needed it to be that way, at least for now. Because if I was going to do this, really do this, it had to be clean, undeniable, and permanent. Wednesday afternoon, the DNA kit came in the mail. I was working from home that day. When the delivery guy knocked, I practically sprinted to the door like a lunatic. Emily was at work, thank God, so I had the privacy to open it in peace. I sat at the kitchen table staring at the sealed envelope for 20 minutes. I couldn't bring myself to rip it open. It felt like a bomb. Once I saw those results, there was no coming back. I already knew what it would say, but part of me still hoped for a miracle. Some technical glitch. Some statistical fluke. Eventually, I opened it. 0% probability of paternity. That was the exact wording. No ambiguity. No maybe. Even though I'd known in my gut, it still hit me like a truck. I just sat there, hunched over the papers, eyes burning, hands shaking. Eventually, I slid down to the floor and leaned against the cabinets, just breathing. In. And then, I got up. I wasn't going to fall apart anymore. I was going to finish what I started. Thursday morning, I met with Jackson again. I showed him the results and we went over everything. My financial moves were solid. I transferred just over 60% of our savings into my new account. I had copies of our joint assets, changed the passwords to my personal accounts, backed up all messages and files, and had the divorce paperwork ready. Friday, I took it a step further. I found Brandon's wife, her name's Melissa, on Facebook. We'd never met, but her profile wasn't private. She had family pics, vacation shots, the usual stuff. I hesitated for a while, then sent her a message. Hi Melissa, I know we don't know each other, but I have information about your husband and my wife. I thought you deserved to know. She read it almost immediately, but didn't reply. That was fine. I'd done my part. Now, Saturday, our anniversary. Emily was glowing that morning. She thought I was being romantic, planning dinner at this fancy Italian place she'd been hinting about for months. She went to get her nails done, got dressed up, wore that red dress she always saves for special occasions. And I played the part, told her she looked beautiful, smiled, acted like a husband in love. I had everything ready. DNA results, screenshots of texts between her and Brandon. Yeah, turns out they weren't even smart enough to delete their messages from the shared iPad. I printed everything and slipped it into a navy blue envelope with happy anniversary written in silver on the front. We had a reservation for 7. I got there early, nervous as hell. I was sweating through my shirt, checking my phone every few seconds like a teenager on a first date. The waitress kept glancing over, probably wondering if I was getting stood up. Then Emily walked in. She looked incredible. I'll give her that. Confident, radiant, like nothing in the world could touch her. For a second, one tiny, flickering second, I felt a pang of guilt, like I was ruining something beautiful. But then I remembered her laugh. He's so clueless. And the guilt vanished. She sat down, beaming, reached across the table, touched my hand. I still can't believe you remembered this place. I nodded, said something like, of course, wouldn't miss it. She ordered wine I can't pronounce, made small talk about work, joked about Noah being obsessed with dinosaurs this week. The appetizers came. She took pictures for Instagram. Captioned it, "Love and linguine 2 hearts wineglass #anniversary vibes." Then she looked at me with that flirty grin and said, "So, did you get me anything?" She even did that little pout thing she used to do when we first started dating. I pulled out the envelope and slid it across the table. Her eyes lit up. She clearly thought it was jewelry. Maybe concert tickets. Something expensive and shiny. She opened it. Card fell out. So did the DNA results. And the screenshots. First she looked confused. Then she started reading. Her expression shifted slowly. Then all at once. Confusion. Shock. Panic. Anger. And finally this blank, distant stare. "Ryan," she whispered. "I can explain." She reached across the table, but I didn't move. I just watched her. Let her squirm. "It wasn't what it looks like," she said. "It was a mistake. A long time ago. Just once. I didn't mean." I said nothing. She kept talking. Digging. Rambling about how Brandon meant nothing, how she was scared, how she thought it was best for everyone. "You love Noah. You're his dad. That hasn't changed." Then she flipped. Got angry. Said I invaded her privacy. That I had no right to spy on her. That this was emotional abuse. That's when I finally spoke. "You and Claire broadcasted it over your car's Bluetooth." I didn't snoop. I just called you. She went pale. I leaned forward, kept my voice calm. "I've already spoken to a lawyer. I've moved most of our money. Divorce papers are ready. You'll be served on Monday. Oh, and Melissa knows everything." That broke her. She started crying, not cute, movie tears. Full-on, messy, snot and mascara crying. She begged me not to do this. Said we could fix it. Said no one needed me. That I was being cruel. I asked her one question. Why? Her answer? "Brandon and I had a connection, but he wasn't reliable. And I knew you'd be a great father. I thought it was better this way." Better? For who? I stood up. Left cash for my half of the bill. Told her she could handle the rest. As I walked out, she followed me, sobbing, causing a scene in the parking lot. I think someone was recording us on their phone. She didn't even care. I got in my car. Rolled down the window. "Tell Noah I had to go out of town for a few days. I'll be back to get my stuff soon." Then I drove away. Checked into a cheap hotel downtown. That night, she called me 57 times. Left 29 voicemails. Sent over 100 texts. Begging. Threatening. Crying. Then begging again. And I didn't respond. Not yet. Sunday morning was just as brutal as the night before. Emily didn't let up. The calls, the texts, the voicemails. Some were pleading, some were furious. In one breath, she was begging me to come home, for the sake of our family. And in the next, she was threatening to tell everyone I abandoned my child. I stayed silent. I didn't want to say anything until I was calm. Until I had control over my words. Not anger. At noon, I finally responded. I sent her an email. Cold, factual, direct. Attached were copies of the DNA results, screenshots of her Bluetooth call with Claire that I'd recorded, and a few photos I found of her and Brandon from some company event. Standing just a little too close, eyes locked, her hand on his chest. I wrote one sentence. "If you want to make this ugly, I have more than enough." After that, radio silence. That afternoon, my mom called. Emily had phoned her crying. Said we had a fight. And I stormed out. That alone raised red flags. I don't storm out of arguments. I'm the talk it out until we're blue in the face guy. Always have been. So I told her the basics. Not everything. Just enough for her to understand why I wasn't coming home. She went silent on the line for a few seconds and then... fury. I've never heard my mother curse so much in such a short amount of time. She said she was driving over to Emily's with a baseball bat. I had to beg her to let me handle it. Thankfully, my buddy Derek let me crash on his couch for a few days while I figured out my next move. He didn't ask many questions. Just handed me a beer and turned on the game. Honestly, that first night of silence. No crying, no fake smiles, no pretending. It was the first time in a week I felt like I could breathe. By Tuesday, I'd found an apartment. 2 bedrooms, nothing special. but clean and close to Noah's school. They allowed pets too, which was a bonus. I always wanted a dog, but Emily was allergic. Small victories. Monday morning, Jackson filed the divorce papers. Emily was served at work. From what I heard through mutual friends, she completely broke down. Ugly crying, hysterics, had to be sent home early. I'd like to say I didn't take any satisfaction in that, but I'd be lying. That Tuesday was one of the hardest days of my life. I finally saw Noah. I picked him up from school like usual, and he came running into my arms like nothing had changed. That hurt more than anything. That he was so happy, so innocent, completely unaware of how fragile everything had become. I took him for ice cream, let him pick the place. Then we sat at a park, just us, and I tried to explain things without saying too much. I told him Daddy had to live in a different house for a while, but nothing between us was going to change. I'd still take him to soccer, still help with homework, still read him bedtime stories. He looked up at me with those big brown eyes and asked, "Is it because you and Mommy are mad at each other?" I nodded slowly. "A little bit, yeah. But we both love you very much. That's never going to change." He hugged me tight, said, "Okay, as long as you still come to my games." That night, after I dropped him off, I sat in my car and cried harder than I have in years. The next few weeks were a blur of paperwork, moving boxes, splitting accounts, canceling credit cards. Emily tried to play civil in front of others, but behind the scenes it was a mess. She sent long emotional emails, accusing me of ruining the family and turning Noah against her. Even though I never said a word to Noah about what happened. Then Melissa, Brandon's wife, messaged me back. We agreed to meet for coffee. It was awkward, for sure. What do you even say to the wife of the man who fathered your child? But she was surprisingly composed. Calm. A little tired, like someone who's been carrying secrets too long. She told me Brandon denied everything at first, then tried to blame Emily, then finally broke down and admitted it all. Melissa said they were in counseling now, trying to rebuild something for their own kids. I wished her luck. Honestly, I wouldn't want anyone else to go through this. A few days later, Emily's mom called me. She's a sweet woman. Always liked me, always thought her daughter took me for granted. She said she wasn't surprised. Disappointed, sure, but not shocked. Then she asked, tearfully, if she could still see Noah sometimes. Of course, I said yes. None of this was his fault. Around that same time, Brandon reached out to me. Not directly, through Melissa. He wanted to meet Noah. At first, my response was an immediate hell no. I was ready to fight it in court if I had to. But Melissa brought up something their therapist said. That someday Noah might want to know the truth. And that introducing Brandon in a calm, structured way might be better than hiding it and having him find out later through chaos. I hated it. Hated the thought. But she had a point. So we arranged a supervised meeting at a local park. Brandon showed up with a nervous smile and way too many toys. Like he thought he could buy 6 years of absence with action figures and Legos. Noah was shy at first, then started talking about his Pokemon cards, and 10 minutes later, he was off and running like usual. At the end of the hour, Noah looked at me and said, "He's nice, but he's not as fun as you, Dad." I nearly lost it. Brandon didn't push for anything. Signed away his parental rights officially, but agreed to pay child support. Emily was furious about that, thought she'd be getting the money. Nope. Every cent is going into Noah's college fund. Now life is quieter. The apartment has its quirks, the dishwasher sounds like it's dying, and the upstairs neighbor walks like he's wearing cement boots, but it's mine. No lies live in these walls. Just me and Noah. And Rex. Yeah, I finally got a dog. Rescue Mutt from the shelter. Noah named him Rex, and now he follows my son around like a shadow. Wherever Noah goes, Rex is right there behind him like a four-legged guardian angel. My mom visits a lot. Helps out when I need to work late. She's been my rock through all this. Work's been steady. Got a small promotion, nothing major, but enough that I could buy Noah a birthday present without checking my bank balance 10 times. Little victories matter now. Social life? Funny you should ask. I joined a local group for single dads. Yeah, I know sounds lame, but it's actually been a blessing. Bunch of guys in the same boat trying to figure out co-parenting and mental survival. We talk, we laugh, sometimes we bring the kids for pizza. It helps more than I thought it would. And yeah, I've started dating again. Nothing serious. Coffee dates. Light conversation. One woman, Ellie, has a kid too. We've met up a couple times. She gets it, the baggage, the hesitation, the whole "my kid comes first" thing. We're taking it slow. Like, glacially slow. But it feels okay. Therapy helps too. I see someone weekly now. I used to think that was for other people. Now I know better. 6 months ago, I thought I had a happy family. I thought my life was whole. Turns out I was living in someone else's story. Now, I'm finally starting to write my own. It's been 5 months since everything came crashing down. I call it D-Day now, not for drama, but because the anniversary dinner changed my entire life. Before that night, I thought I was a husband, a father, a man with a stable life. Now, I'm still a father. Just not the one I thought I was. And I'm not married anymore. Not even close. The divorce was finalized last month. Honestly, it went quicker than expected. Jackson said we got lucky with the judge. Apparently, he had zero tolerance for infidelity. When he saw the DNA results and everything else, he gave Emily 2 choices: accept the deal or drag it out and likely walk away with less. She signed the papers. I got the apartment, my car, and kept my retirement savings. She walked away with 30% of what we had in our joint accounts instead of 50. The house is being sold, closing is next week, and we're splitting the proceeds. It feels weird letting go of the place where Noah took his first steps, where we painted his nursery together. But I don't need reminders of that life anymore. The biggest surprise? Emily didn't fight for custody. Not even a little. I thought I'd have to battle in court. Instead, she just agreed. My mom thinks it's because she knows she can't handle full-time parenting with her life in pieces. Maybe. Still stings, though, that she gave up so easily. Noah stays with me most days. He still visits Emily, but not often. And when he comes home, he's quiet. Withdrawn. Like he's trying to figure out how to process a version of his mom that doesn't quite match what he used to believe. Emily's life fell apart fast after that night in the restaurant. Someone filmed her breakdown and posted it on TikTok. It didn't go viral exactly, but it circulated enough in our town that people started whispering. She was let go from her job not long after. Official reason? Reorganization. We both know it was about Brandon trying to save face. He stayed on, threw her under the bus, then ghosted her completely. She's working at a Target now. Living in a small 1-bedroom apartment on the edge of town. Noah mentioned she sleeps on a couch and gave him the bedroom when he visits. That messed with my head more than I expected. Melissa and Brandon? Still trying to patch things up. I ran into Melissa a few weeks ago at the grocery store. We talked for a few minutes. She looked tired. Worn. But calm. Said their counseling was a work in progress. I nodded, wished her well, and we moved on. There's been no more drama from Emily, not since that day she came to my apartment. That was about 6 weeks ago. She showed up out of nowhere, all done up like she was trying to look like the woman I fell in love with. Makeup, dress, perfume I hadn't smelled in years. She stood at my door with tears in her eyes and said, "I made the worst mistake of my life." For a moment, and I mean a split second, I saw the old Emily. The one I proposed to in the rain. The one who used to steal the covers and hum in the kitchen while making pancakes. But then I remembered the sound of her laugh. He's so clueless. And the guilt disappeared. I told her we'd never be together again. That we could be civil for Noah's sake, but that's all. She didn't take it well. First came the crying. Then the anger. She saw a woman's sweater on my couch. Ellie had been over once, for coffee, nothing more, and lost it. Accused me of moving on too fast, of trying to replace her. I didn't yell. I didn't even raise my voice. Just told her to leave or I'd call the cops. Next morning, she texted an apology. I didn't reply. I installed a video doorbell that day. Best money I've spent in a long time. Claire, the best friend with the big mouth, reached out too. Sent me a long message on Instagram saying she was sorry, that she never meant for it to come out like that. Claimed she thought I already knew and just chose to ignore it for Emily's sake. I blocked her immediately. Last week, Noah turned 7. We agreed to have a small birthday party for him together. Neutral ground, the park by the lake. My mom came. Emily's mom came. Emily was different. Quiet. Reserved. Almost like she knew she didn't belong in the center of the moment anymore. She kept stealing glances at me and Noah like she was trying to memorize something. Like she knew this version of us wasn't going to last much longer. After the cake and presents, she pulled me aside. Said she got a job offer in Cincinnati. Better pay, better benefits. Fresh start. Then she asked, "Would you ever consider bringing Noah to visit?" I didn't answer right away. Still haven't, honestly. Part of me wants to say yes for Noah's sake. Another part just wants distance. Space. Peace. She's leaving next month. And I'm still here. Noah and I have built a rhythm. We cook dinner together. Well, he mostly throws flour around, but we call it cooking. He has a bunk bed now, even though he's an only child. Says the top bunk is for his future dog. Rex usually beats him to it. Last night, we were making homemade pizza, making a mess of the kitchen, when he looked up at me with tomato sauce on his nose and said, "Dad, I'm glad we live here now. Mommy was always mad at you in the old house." I had to turn away so he wouldn't see my face. Kids, they see more than we think. They always do. So where am I now? Not perfect. Not fixed. But better. Work steady. Ellie and I still text. We've had a few more coffee dates. Nothing serious, just companionship. No pressure. No secrets. Noah's in therapy. It's helping. He still asks tough questions sometimes. Like, why don't you and Mommy live together anymore? And, if Brandon's my real dad, does that mean you're not? Those questions crush me. But I answer them as honestly as I can in ways a kid can understand. I'm your real dad, buddy. Just not the one who helped make you. But I'm the one who's always here. And always will be. He usually nods and goes back to building something in Minecraft. But I know he hears me. I know it matters. Some nights I still lie awake, thinking about what could have been. Other nights I fall asleep to the sound of Rex snoring and Noah breathing softly in the next room, and I feel at peace. If you'd asked me 6 months ago, I would have told you I was happy. I didn't know I was living a lie. Now I'm living honestly. Messy, complicated, real. And honestly, that's a hell of a lot better.